the Sacred Rose Temple, and I am your host, Collette Corcoran. The world is changing out there, and it's not hard for us to see that there is a different frequency within the energetic field of our world where the illusions are beginning to be seen, and the more mystical and magical, spiritually connected, natural world is beginning to scream at us through the top of that multi-dimensional voice to tell us that the ancient self and the old self was always so multifaceted, and that we have forgotten that as modern people. We have become engaged too much in technology. We have become so comfortable with ease. We have forgotten ceremony and ritual and what being spiritual and connected to something bigger than we are actually means. And I am beyond excited. I spent many years in the education system studying a degree and a master's and then a PGCE so that I could teach children of 11 to 19 in the UK. And that whole experience for me was deeply embodying my teacher archetype, which is one of my primary archetypes. But there was always something missing for me all those years ago when I started teaching at the ripe age of 25. There was this space where I was doing yoga, teaching yoga, and yet in that curriculum within that mainstream school system, there was so little place for spiritual, emotional, psycho spiritual, mental health, well being. All those things were missing. And they, for me, were fundamental to any person's enrichment and thriving rather than surviving. And so I dreamt of a world where I could come out of that structure and teach within the things that really set my souls on fire, like the feminine mysteries, like yoga, like tantra, like the sacred sexual arts. Everything that I was interested in, everything that I wanted to learn about and read about and study has become part of my life. And I have been hoping and praying that one day my little dream that I dreamt of as a child of having a magic school where we all attended has come to life in that when I created the Sacred Rose Mystery School, that I wanted to bridge what I'd saw in education by creating curriculum for women that dealt with the magical and the mystical and all those ways in our matriarchal and ancient society that we would have studied. So I was beyond, I can't even find a word, but beyond excited when I was contacted by Ubiquity University and the wonderful Mary Frances Drake about being a collaborator with the ministry, the Doctor of Ministry program. That meant that the programs that I offer women could be turned into credits that would go towards studying the Doctor of Ministry with the Ubiquity University. Now, not only was this something I really dreamt of, where education and spirituality and mysticism and magic and all of those amazing things that have been part of my life collided, but with a school or university that I deeply respect and have worked with in the past. So Ubiquity University, my connection with them started on a pilgrimage. I was on pilgrimage, traveling the world with my son, and such a long story to go through, but literally synchronicity led me to land from Borneo in the jungle at the airport of Charles de Gaulle and to enter into Chartres Cathedral on their annual pilgrimage, studying the liberal arts. And that year changed my life. I began to realize that living as a nomad was ending and that I was going to root down somewhere in the world and begin to really embody and teach more of what I'd learned on my travels and in my studies so far. And that was the beginning of the Sacred Rose Mystery School. I landed in France. I bought a space that I wanted to turn into a community retreat and focus mainly on the last 5 years of studying more and constructing a curriculum that is worthy of a mystery school. And so Ubiquity and I are a collision of what is magical and mystical, what is very futuristic and very much, I feel, in the sights of the 2024 and 2025 as the world begins to completely change, is mystery school and education, and how we can really begin to truly study the mystical arts and all that is involved with that. And this rings true with my own upbringing and my own ancient past as a Celt and a Druid, and still a practicing Druidess. But how in those times that the Romans invaded my homeland of the UK, that the Druid schools and the universities were alive and kicking and sending out some of the best scholars and priests and priestesses of its time. The Romans, particularly Caesar, were astounded by the Druids and their intellect and their structure, and took many of the infrastructure of the Druidess and the Druid world. So I feel a tingling in my old ancient bones that we're going to return to ancient times where we do really have a curriculum that is both ancient and futuristic, that involves being in harmony with a new world, being in harmony with the old world, and coming back into a space where our intellect is deeply rooted in the emotional and the physical and the soulful. So, any of you that are interested and have known that spirituality will be a consciousness that will soon be accepted as much as any straightforward, educational program, it is here, it's landed. And so, my 3-year program in the Feminine Mysteries, and this track particularly of the womb high priestess, is a 3-year deep embodiment into feminine mysteries. The course itself, for me, has been given to me through my own deep connection with spirit and the mystical realms, the other realms, and my guides, which are very many. The first teaching is the first year of Sacred Sexuality, the 13 Roses, which was given to me in completion, delivered into my womb when I was in a pilgrimage in the south of France. And I kept it very quiet. I received this teaching in a very sacred star under an oak tree in Provence, and sat with it quietly for years, wondering when I would birth her and write her. And that time came when I suffered from a miscarriage, and my womb wanted to release the content. And so, therefore, I wrote the 13 Roses and took a track of women through that sacred sexual healing. This would have been the work that the ancient womb priestesses took on to heal the lineage, heal their physical body, their emotional body, their spiritual well-being, and to come into a purification of their sacredness, their sexual, as something that is deeply sacred. The second part of the initiation is the womb gatekeepers. And once the sacred sexual body has been healed and worked with, and there is a level of embodiment into that sacred sexual art, we gather the momentum to go deeply into the womb. And only then are we ready to go into the womb. And in the gatekeepers, we enter a whole different playing field of the mother, the cosmos, the different facets of the mother that we find within the unconscious realms and the conscious realms, and how we work with our womb in the many faces she holds and the many teachings she has to give to us. This womb gatekeepers is intense in a different way, in that it calls the subject to go deeply into shadow with relation to their connection to the world and community around them, and to bring through from the darkness deep wisdom from the womb. So it's an intense course, but I watched women transform on that course and realize the attributes and the behaviors that are really keeping them from progressing and transforming as women. And after that deep, deep dive, they then enter into womb magic. And this is the course that I'm currently teaching at the moment. And the womb magic was only open to certain women that had done deep work on the psyche, on the shadow. And they are now entering a field of magic because they're able to feel the healing that's happened, the moral compass that's dropped in themselves, where they want to be of service and to do good only. And now the alchemy of magic begins, and they begin to work with their inner magi and the psychopomp and the world of the unseen that brings in the messages, such as I received under that tree in Provence, to be able to bring through volumes of their own work to gift to the world. They will create their own book of magic by the end of the 12 months and then finally graduate into the womb high priestess with full accreditation to be able to enter into the Doctor of Ministries with Ubiquity. How exciting is that? So it was something I really wanted to share with those of you that follow my work and listen to my musings and writings, and just to let you know that the field of magic and the spiritual worlds are no longer in Harry Potter films. They are real and coming to alive through many of us who have endlessly, tirelessly worked in this field. I mean, it's not been easy under great kind of, you know, accusation and stares and finger pointing and misunderstanding, and the whole wearing tinfoil hats and being crazy have been thrown at us. We have carried on regardless. We have known the mission in life was to bring the sacred, the mystery, the magical back. And maybe that's you too. So if you're feeling to join the track of work that actually can produce a doctor of ministry in the world, a highly recognized qualification, then I am opening the 13 Roses in April this year to the next group of women that wish to go through this track. If that's you, if this is something that you feel in your soul and your body's already saying, oh, you can't because of, don't listen to the I can't. Listen to the soul that's saying, do that, go for that. And let's see where that takes you. So I'll leave it there for now, but hopefully speak to many of you. Many of you have reached out to me already, but to speak to more of you about entering this field of work. I'm sending you the blessings of the feminine, of the mother, and of the great mystery. Awen.